welcome to Conversations with Reverend G. I'm Reverend Grenetta Mason, aka Reverend G. I'm here every Monday night from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. on WEMS Radio, bringing you spiritual conversations. My guests, they come from all walks of life. They are artists, they are ministers, they are entrepreneurs, they just do so many different things. And what we try to do here is bring you inspiring conversation. We talk about the spiritual tools that we use in hopes that some of them will be useful for you. The goal is to have spirituality be an everyday conversation. Use it in everything that you do without having it be a big deal. Having it be just such a part of your life that it is natural. And we want to break it down in these conversations so that you can do that. If you want to find out more about the information that I share and the inspirational quotes that I share, you can find me on Facebook, Reverend Grenetta Briggs Mason, and on Instagram as Reverend Grenetta. I know that now, times are really rough right now. So we come on the show and we hope to bring information to help us get through these times. We want to bring information on healing spiritually, and we want to heal mentally. Today, I have a very, very special guest. And my special guest today is Lana En Pure. Lana is a published author. She is also an artist, a DJ, and a music producer. And I've known her all her life, right? Because her mother and I are really good friends. And she was my first roommate and friend when I first came to New York. So we've been in each other's life for a long, long time. And I'm excited to have her on the show. And hopefully when you leave the show, you would be inspired. And I'm always about bringing joy and living your best life with grace and ease. So tonight, we're going to talk to Alana about all the things that she's doing, and hopefully you'll be inspired. And I'm sure you will be. Come on, Alana, come on in. Hello, she's connecting.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can't see you. You have your video?
Yeah. No, I'm here.
Yeah. Now I could see you. How are you today?
Good. How you doing? Can you hear me over the fan? I have it on low.
Yes, I can hear you. Okay. Introduce yourself to everybody. I just gave them a brief overview, but introduce yourself.
Oh, okay. I don't want to repeat what you said, but my name's Lana.
Overview.
Okay. All right. Well, my name's Lana, or Lana En Pure, if you guys are on Instagram or Facebook or Snapchat. And I am a DJ as well as a published author and a podcaster. Other than that, I like to read. I'm all for my people, as you can see, Black Power, Black Lives Matter. And other than that, I'm just an average girl. It's really it. I don't have a long intro. I'm just me. That's it.
Sure. I know your book. I wanted to talk about your book and talk about what inspired you, because there's a lot in the book and there's a lot to talk about, because it's really about what's going on today and your perspective on what's going on. So talk about your book, to the name of it, and how you were inspired to write this.
Sure. Well, actually, I have it here. I can show you, but I'll also talk about it, just, so I don't repeat anything. So this is it right here.
Okay.
Now you can see it. So it's called 𝒾𝓃𝓃𝑔, and it's a conversation on the truth. And I don't mean the truth they taught you in your history class. And fun fact, 𝒾𝓃𝓃𝑔 is actually my middle name, which is Swahili. So I thought that was pretty cool. And the reason why I named it 𝒾𝓃𝓃𝑔, I felt like with what I was talking about, it kind of brought everything home in a way, you know, to like the motherland, you know, home, Africa and stuff like that. But to your original question, I've been actually wanting to write this book for maybe 11 years or so. That sounds long, but it's been a while. And I kind of came to this topic or this subject matter with all that's been going on, you know, with politics and racism and Trump and all the other fun stuff. And I kind of really started working on it a couple months ago, right after George Floyd was murdered, and everything kind of just spewed out into the book. I had a lot of stuff to say, but the book really touches on different aspects, not just Black Lives Matter, but politics, slavery, ancestors, systematic racism, you know, schooling, all different things, but everything ties in. So, you know, each chapter kind of course, builds on each other, but it's different topics. It's not just about one thing. I wanted to touch, from my perspective, you know, on, you know, history and what they teach you in school, what they don't teach you in school, and, you know, stuff like that. So it's a lot. I have a lot to say, and there are some chapters I'm kind of really angry, but it all makes sense at the end of the book.
Is there a particular message that you would like to talk about tonight? One part of the book. Give us some part of the book, because as I look through it, there's just so many things, and I know we weren't taught a lot. And you named it that. And I get that you put a lot of different things in it, but what can you say? Talk about one part of it that means a lot to you at this point.
It would probably have to be the chapter about our ancestors, or my ancestors. I've been really big on Black Lives Matter, even since I was a little girl. You know, I would play with Barbie dolls. I would always ask for the Black Barbie doll. You know, I would always look for the girl who was different in the bunch. You know, I have an Addie doll as well, too, from the American Girl store. So I've always felt compelled to embrace my people. And that chapter, for me personally, sticks out because it's at least for me, I shed some truth on our history, not just because they don't teach you in school, but just from my life, what I've experienced, what I've been taught, you know, and things like that. So for me, that's in a way my favorite chapter, because I really touch on, you know, Africa, where we came from, how we were brought over here, how even now, you know, still to this day, there's a lot of issues and unrest when there doesn't need to be. So, you know, for me, that chapter for me resonates to me in my heart. Every other chapter is, you know, my favorite, but that one particularly is, I want that to be like the big, you know, big picture. If that makes sense.
You named it, and you're not talking about what they taught you, right? And who is the audience? When you say, you know, who would you say the audience is? And would you put this in the school? Would you say it would be a book that you would want to put on the reading list for everybody to understand some historical points and have a historical perspective?
No, most definitely. I would like it to be, I guess, a school book, curriculum school book. Is that what they still call it? It's been a while, but no, the audience really is anybody who wants to read. And that sounds broad, but you know, anybody who wants to, from my eyes, learn the truth from what I believe wasn't taught in history classes. Because you know, in history class, they kind of teach you about the Holocaust and the Civil War, and there's like 2 pages of Black history in the back of the book, and then it's just pictures. So, and they don't teach you everything that has happened with our people in this country, what we've done, you know, what we've built, you know, what we're doing and trying to do, the land we own, stuff like that. So I would want it or hope to put it in the school curriculum, as well as, you know, anybody who wants to read stuff or something that's not the norm, if that makes sense. Because my book is not the norm.
Yeah, well, it's not the norm because of the topics and the perspective.
Correct. From what I'm trying to portray, correct. That is correct.
Okay, great. I know that you have a part in there when you talk about the racial inequality, and I know Black Lives Matter means a lot to you. And I know that, you know, I have people from all generations on my show. So I'm particularly interested in your generation as a millennial, right? What is your perspective because we really want to tap into, what's going on, what are you thinking? And there are a couple of areas I want to talk to you about from the perspective of the millennials, and I think that we really would be interested to understand how you feel about the racial inequality. We could start there, because you said you wrote the book after George Floyd.
Right, right. And as you know, there's been countless others before and after. But for millennial, at least for me, there is a lot of unrest that people don't want to talk about, and it sucks not to sound, but it does. And a lot of people, they don't want to talk about something that's uncomfortable, right? That they're stepping out of the norm, because that would mean that they're wrong. Whether it's, African Americans, Caucasians, Latinos, we all play a part in society, right? And for me, as a millennial, growing up, and at least these past 4 years with Trump, it's been a lot. And to be honest, it's an old saying, but we're sick and tired of being sick and tired. And it's just, for a change to happen, at least in my opinion, it has to start somewhere, right? It can't just be more things keep happening and nothing will change. It has to start somewhere. So for millennial, it's difficult because we're trying to do different things and mingle and groove with different people, and then it's looked at as different or weird because 40 years ago, 50 years ago, you couldn't do that. It was looked at as, taboo. So for me, at least, it is hard walking into today's society because you don't know where to go. You don't want to be too sensitive because everybody's sensitive nowadays. You don't want to step on your toes. So it's difficult, when it doesn't have to be. At least that's what I believe. And, for the people who are up top and people who, can make a change or make a difference, it's unfortunate that's not happening. And the things that has happened with Trump and even during COVID didn't really, need to happen. And not just with Black Lives Matter, but with a whole lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. But to your question, or your comment statement, it's difficult, at least for me, being millennial, because you don't know. You want to do something different, but you also want to be down for the cause. You also want to be in different aspects of groups, but you also don't want to forget your people. So it's like Sophie's choice. So it's a little difficult, frustrating. I'm not one of those who likes to get in the minutiae of it all, but it is difficult, at least with the peers that I've spoken to,
With your peers. If you had any recommendations, what, I guess that would be really hard because we don't really know what to do. Right? So it would be interesting if you had a perspective on it, any kind of recommendations from your perspective, It's just together, right? It's the recommendation, right? Stop killing Black people.
Probably with the perspective, or at least some thoughts to you, I would be like, maybe we should talk to our, not elderly, but people who've been around this earth longer. I think personally, we can't do it alone. Everybody needs help. Too many hands in pot. It's never a good thing, but it always can be a good thing sometimes. Mm-hmm. So I feel like we should all work together instead of working in different groups, because everybody working in different aspects, you can't get anything done because there's too many views on it. Not like you shouldn't have different views, but it's just if we work together in some way instead of...
How do we come together? And I get what you're saying. How do we come together with all of our perspectives, right?
Right.
And all of our generations together and make a difference, right? And as you said, we bring some wisdom to the
right. Of course. Yeah, I can't deny
that. And I do understand at this time it being very difficult to navigate right now.
Yeah.
Because you were just like at the brink of starting your career. You're just about to step out and get started, and here we're in this whole thing right now, right? And I always talk about healing. How do we kind of heal and have hope and stay on top of it until things pass and change, because we know things will change, right? And we have hope that they'll get better, and maybe they'll get worse before they get
Right.
better. But at the same time, we know, I'm very sure that things will change and we'll roll into a positive way. Now, I'm not saying how long